In April of 2017, a game was released into early access. The game was simply known as Domina, a game where you manage a ludus, or gladiator training facility, after your father's passing. But this game has a much darker side to it, and I'm not talking about the idea that you're essentially training slaves to fight each other to the death for your own gain. With gameplay ranging from setting up your ludus in the most beneficial way to train your slaves, manage your resources, keep the slaves and the benefactors happy, all the way to fighting in coliseum battles against various opponents and obstacles, to even chariot races to the death. By itself, it's a great game with a decent plot, good, if a bit over-the-top humor, and good game mechanics. Domina is a pretty solid indie title that even went to the extent of including Twitch integration, letting your viewers be actual gladiators in the game, allow them to create their own warriors, and even cheer during battles as they unfold. In its early days, it was met with a lot of praise as one of the greatest gladiator simulators on the market, with reviewers calling it an interesting take with a lot of potential for streaming entertainment and, ultra brutal, while everyone praising the soundtrack as being fucking spectacular. And all of this was made by a single person, Nicholas John Leonard Gorison, an independent game developer and independent musician, also known by his developer name Big Nick or Dolphin Barn, who has previously made games such as Zombies in 2012, which turned into Corporate Lifestyle Simulator by 2014, a top-down zombie slasher game filled with corporate buzzwords and several levels of pixelated carnage. Spell Team Deathmatch in 2014, a two-player platforming PvP game much like Towerfall and the Duck game, and then finally Domina in 2017, his crowning glory and the game that finally put him on the map among the indie game developers. Not to mention his music library, which is still being made to this day, being uploaded to his YouTube channel. And he cared for this game. He wanted it to be a success, so much that he would personally go into streams of people playing his game, thanking them for playing it, and making sure that the bot that operated the Twitch integration was actually working optimally. A thing that I personally experienced back when I streamed the game years ago. But that was also when the great era started to sour. As the topic of LGBTQ and trans rights began becoming a topic of everyday life, Nicholas wanted to voice his opinion on this as well. An opinion that was not to be taken lightly. It all started back in March of 2022, where he would push out a patch for Domina. However, hidden within these patch notes were him urging people to not wear face masks during the pandemic, saying things such as "take off your fucking masks" or "women don't like dudes who cover their face in fear." This was, of course, met with a lot of backlash in the community. Most people found it unprofessional, while others were just plain confused about the statements even being there in the first place. But what made it even worse is Nicholas responding to all of them, spouting about political tyranny and being forced to wear masks by the government. Some people might agree with such statements, but as one user says, I play video games to block out the dystopian nightmare outside. Where he again simply responds, nobody's forcing you to read these. This behavior would continue on for a while, only growing worse and worse, tackling more and more sensitive topics with no sign of remorse. As this kept going, the community grew more and more agitated with the whole idea behind his actions, and began taking it out on the game, posting negative reviews left and right. And while Nicholas was trying to flag all the negative reviews going against his beliefs, calling them fraudulent reviews published by Steam, these were of course all turned down and the flags were removed, leaving all the reviews up for all to see. Nicholas was, however, seeing this in a bit of a different light, as on August 6, 2022, he claimed that there was no evidence that there were anything wrong with the newly released DLC, trying to pin the fraudulent reviews on that. even going as far as saying that the claims are simply still there to be used on B-level gaming blogs and to be used as ammunition for Twitter circle jerks. All while throwing accusations towards the cowardly Steam moderators for not doing anything, and even blaming Gabe Newell himself for not giving a damn about his platform. Quote, "At this point, it is doubtful that Domina will receive future updates on Steam. If that upsets you, I encourage you to talk to Gabe Newell. His ship is sinking, and he doesn't give a fuck." All while this was happening, Steam had contacted him multiple times, telling him to keep this sort of opinion off of the game page, forums, and patch notes, giving him several warnings that they would be forced to take precautions if he were to continue. Nicholas wouldn't accept this. He still believed that the whole platform was working against him, as he said himself in the post before. How can we have a working relationship with a platform that actively wants us off of the platform? And, well, technically he wasn't wrong on that front, because not long after, on August 31st, it was the last straw when he decided to push forward this post simply titled, "Dominus, Dead Domina." Taking a severe stab at the LGBTQ community by going forth and reiterating the same spiel that many trolls around the internet use. Now, I'm not going to read it out loud here, but there is a screenshot if you do want to read through it. He preferences this by using bold letters above the statement, simply saying, "We're out of ideas, mentally unstable, totally degenerate, and desperate for clout," which is a way that a certain group of people view the trans and LGBTQ community as someone who's out of options on how to be noticed, but is desperate for attention and is willing to try anything. Which is kind of ironic in a way. But the thing that really hit the nail on the head, however, was this was no longer contained to the patch notes of the game, but was put in as part of the game itself, changing the title screen to say Dominus instead of Domina, and putting the little box in the bottom right corner repeating what was put in the patch notes above. If you own the game, you'll see that these changes are very much still there and has not been removed to this day, at least on the Steam version. At this point, it only took a mere 2 days before Steam had enough, and on September 2nd, Nicholas posted this on his "We're Totally Not Racist" Twitter account and showed that he had officially been banned, with Steam putting the reason as insults targeting another person and clearing reported posts violating the rules and guidelines. This, of course, referencing all the times that he has posted something in the game on the Steam forums or even in the patch notes, as well as somehow accidentally getting himself unbanned from the Steam forums after he had gotten banned the first time. This also resulted in the entirety of his game catalog being taken down from Steam, including Domina. Of course, Nicholas was not going to take this lying down, so he took to reply to a post about it on Gap.com. Since doing all this, he also managed to be banned on Twitter. Here, he states that people have been asking why he allegedly removed the game from the store page himself, but he wanted to set the record straight in the best way he knows how. Quote, "Wherever people are getting the notion that Dolphin Barn removed Domina from Steam are incorrect. We literally put out a patch yesterday after saying we probably wouldn't anymore, because the situation with political fraud reviews on Steam is so bad, we had updated the game because of our players deserve the best, even if Steam doesn't. And Steam cancelled us rather than admit that there might be a problem with dickless men walking around calling themselves women. This was my day job, but the faggotry of Steam has gotten so bad that they don't even want me to be able to eat." Jesus Christ, man. That last comment I really do like, mainly because in the very next line he states that he brought in over $1 million in revenue on Domina alone. I also just want to mention, I will put a link to the post in the description. If you aren't faint of heart, I implore you to go read the comments. They are a true journey. But with that said, same goes for his profile itself, where he is still very active actually, leaning heavily into sharing his opinion on political and political correctness conversations, lately sharing his opinions on heavy religious topics as well. Not to mention, how can you truly hate a guy with a banner like this on his profile? Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll go down just well. So that's it? He got banned and he ended up secluding himself to Gap? We're never gonna see him again? Well, not quite. He is still very active on Gap and on other platforms. You'll still be able to find him making music and uploading them to his YouTube channel, which has all the OSTs from the previous games and some standalone albums, which has been made in less than a year ago as of recording this. And not only that, he hasn't truly given up on the game either. It might have been taken down from Steam, but when I played it recently to get some footage, I noted several updates has been added since I last played. He still works on the game, and you're even still able to buy it on his own website, where it has gotten a surprisingly good reception actually. So the big question is, what do I think of the game at this point? And to be honest, I like the game quite a bit in fact. The game itself is great and has a great feel to it, which I haven't been able to find in any other game on the market, and with the Twitch integration still working to this day, it can make a fantastic time together with the community. The only problem is it has all this background history, which is very hard to ignore. So all I can say is I feel sad. Sad about everything that happened to the game, sad about the direction that Nicholas went, and honestly I hope that he could find his way back, but at this point in time I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. But honestly, I would love to see anyone else just try to make something similar in the future. Now, don't take this as if I'm supporting what he did, no, none the least. He did a horrible thing, and in one of the worst ways possible. And he 100% deserved what he got, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that Domina is pretty damn good.